Hey, shalom. I want to start with always by giving all praise to Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rokah Kwadash. Double honor to the apostles of GMS and honor to you brothers doing the work in truth, war, sincerity. Right? Yeah, this one's on an article that I read early in the morning when I was on my way in. Right? It says Ealing Council to vote on creating buffer zone near abortion clinic. Right? And basically, I read this. It said something like, several thousand. It's Mary Stopes, Mary Stopes abortion clinic in Ealing, London, right? And the paper I was reading in the morning, it's basically said something like 6,000, abortions have been carried out. So this building, right? There isn't a picture of it here, but this building is a place of murder, mass murder. Right? And then basically these counselors, they're basically trying to get on this group, which do their best to, prevent, basically they tell women don't be doing that, trying to tell them that there's another way. Right? So I'll read a bit of it. It says West London councils to hold a historic vote to create buffer zone. It says the potentially radical move by Ealing Council, which has said it wished to protect women, right, so from distress and intimidation. But what about the fetus? What about the child? And I mean, that's why I don't say fetus, a child, because that's what Esau does. Esau's a slick viper. He calls it a fetus so as to detach the fact that it's an actual child, an actual human being, that the Lord had himself set up, right? In fact, let me load that one up real quick. All right. Right, so you got the how Second Maccabees, the 7th chapter. Right, so Second Maccabees 7. I'm gonna start from. Well, I mean, the point is of verse 22. So it's the story of the 7 brothers, right? The 7 brothers had they had a difficult death, and she watched them all, right? Each brother had basically got killed in a gruesome way, right? And verse 2 Maccabees 7:22 says, I cannot tell you how ye came into my womb, for I neither gave you breath nor life, neither was it I that formed the members of every one of you, right? But doubtless the creator of the world, who formed the generations of man and found out the beginning of all things, will also of his own mercy give you breath and life again, right? So this is talking also about reincarnation, right? As ye now regard not your life, your own selves for his law's sake, right? So this is going to show you that it's the Most High that puts the child, in the mother's womb, right? It's the Most High that would you call it that basically gives life. You got the example here of what was that, 1 Samuel, the 2nd chapter, right? It's where's the point? It's like you just gave me a sec. I was trying to find no, it's 1 Samuel's 1st chapter, isn't it? Right, so this is talking about Samuel's would you call it Samuel's 2 wives, right? I mean, 2 wives, Samuel's parents, his mother, right? Hannah was unable to bear a child, right? And basically, would you call it, here's the point, here's one of the points. 1 Samuel 1:5 says, but unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but Yahweh had shut up her womb. So it's the Lord that opens your womb, and it's the Lord that that closes the womb. Right, says, and her adversary also provoked her sore for to make her fret, because Yahweh had shut up her womb. And as she did year by year, she went up to the house of Yahweh. So she provoked her, therefore she wept and did not eat. Then said Elkanah her husband unto her, so this is Samuel's father, why weepest thou, and why eatest thou not, and why is thy heart grieved? Am I not better to thee than 10 sons? Right, so Hannah rose up after they had eaten in Shiloh, and after they had drunk. Now Eli the priest sat upon the seat by the post of the temple of the Lord of Yahweh, and she was in bitterness of soul, and prayed unto Yahweh, and wept sore. Right, so she was basically praying hush, like, Lord, let me open up my womb, right? Because Esau will tell women, oh, sorry, ma'am, sorry to break it to you, you will never be able to have children. That woman will have a child. Why? Because it's not up to Esau's science. It ain't up to the biological state of things. It's up to whether the Most High wants to make things happen. Right? This is verse 11 says, and she vowed a vow and said, O Yahweh of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid and remember me and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give him unto Yahweh all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head. And it came to pass as she continued praying before Yahweh that Eli marked her mouth. Now Hannah, she spake in her heart, only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she had been drunken. And Eli said unto her, How long wilt thou be drunken? Put away thy wine from thee. And Hannah answered and said, No, my lord, I am a woman of a sorrowful spirit. I have drunk neither wine nor strong drink, but I have poured out my soul before Yahweh. Just trying to get straight to the point. Right, so verse 19 says, And they rose up in the early morning and worshipped before the Lord, and returned and came to their house to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and Yahweh remembered her. Right, so Elkanah, Samuel's father, had sex with Hannah his wife. It says, Wherefore it came to pass when the time was come about after Hannah had conceived that she bare a son. So basically, the Lord had it whereby, Hannah prayed. Right, and then the Lord was like, "All right, cool, I'll give you some, whatever." Right, I get that just to show you who it is that controls the issues of life and death. Well, that's what it alludes to in 1 Samuel 2:6. The Lord killeth and the Lord maketh alive. Right. Says councillors could decide to impose a public space protection order, which is normally used to, this is back in the article, which is normally used to deal with antisocial behavior. The Catholic anti-abortion group has held regular protests, and they're basically trying to make it look like they're the bad guys, right? There's got this quote here, there is a pavement council at each gate so women cannot avoid them, right? What about the child? Right, it just goes to show you. And look at this, man. It says Claire McCullough of the Good Counsel Network denied that women were being harassed and said that more than 500 women had turned around because of their efforts. Right, that's 500 children, right, that was saved. Right, now obviously we know in the scriptures say if the wicked are multiplied, it's for the sword. Right, however, in the grand scheme of things, that they're in the eyes of this world, and the people. I mean, on the one hand, they're like, oh, this attack in Syria was so terrible. 70 people died, including women and children. But apparently, we don't care about children when they are, when they're in the womb. Right? It says the women we speak to are being offered a leaflet, offered help, and hundreds of women are accepting that vote. She said these are women who have no alternative but abortion, illegal immigrants, victims of domestic violence. We're telling them that there are alternatives if they want them. Right, and that's a good point. You get people who may, illegal, their immigration status may be a bit dodgy, and they might be like, what, if I have this child, this, that, and the other, blah, 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 blah. And if, for instance, one of the things, because people like to say, oh, what about rape and rape and incest? Right, in the case, I mean, those are null arguments because data from the Guttmacher Institute and Planned Parenthood show that 99% of abortions are for life choices. Right, if you can look through my my videos, I've got the data there for you. Right, I did a video on it a while back. Right, but then in one of the cases that was raised is in the case of incest. Right, then it's usually the abuser that's forcing the child or that that individual to have an abortion, therefore masking everything, right? And a lot of these children, man, that younger women, you hear stories of people like, hey, mom have been like, yo, have an abortion, you're too young, right? Dad won't even know shit, right? And it goes on, it says, so basically that's the main point on this article, right? But the Lord is gonna judge these people. He's gonna judge everyone that is for it, right? Everyone that supports it, right? And you've only got, I mean, the Lord's the one who's gonna be the judge ultimately, right? It says Wisdom 12:5. It says, and also those merciless murderers of children. Right, and that's not you can nowadays apply that to basically mean these people that just be killing abortion. I mean, like I said, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but and you can look it up yourself. But in the article I was reading, I remember the number being something like 6,000 have been, have been, aborted at this place, right? And they say pro-choice police, pro-choice. I mean, what choice is there? The Lord is given child. That child is supposed to stay there, man. Right? It says, and after those and also those merciless murders of children and vows of man's flesh and the feast of blood, right? So these guys be killing children in mass and making nothing of it, making the woman look like the victim when she's a killer, right? She's a hey. We read that. It says, Exodus 21 and 22 says, if men strive and hurt a woman with child so that her fruit depart from her, and yet no mischief follow, he shall surely be punished according to as the woman's husband will lay upon him, and he shall pay as judges determine. And if any mischief follow, then thou shalt give life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, stripe for strife. Right, basically saying, if two men are fighting and then bam, a woman with child gets hit. Right. If nothing happens to the child, then it ain't too deep. But if the child dies, then you die. Basically showing you that according to the Lord, that a child in the womb, right, is considered life. Right. So all these abortionists, right, abortion. I don't know what the name for them are. The guys that practice the abortions, right, the women that have the abortions. Right, and the boyfriends that force their women to get abortions, that pay for the abortions, right? The what do you call it? The aunties and uncles that say, pitney them, have an abortion. Excuse my terrible Benjamite accent, right? Rather Caribbean accent, right? It says Isaiah 10 and 1 says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees and that right grievousness which they have prescribed. Right, and this is an unrighteous decree, saying that you can go and kill a baby that is inside you is an unrighteous decree. And the majority of the time, as I said, according to Guttmacher Institute and the Planned Parenthood Institute, right, which are both pro-abortion, right, because that's what these people. Where's your sources from? My sources are from a pro-abortion, pro-abortion sources, right? Like I said, if you look through my videos, that the data is all there. For anyone, because 99% sounds like a high number, and according to the data compiled by those two institutes, right, that is what it is. But Lords, you were edified, and that's why one of the reasons why this kingdom's going to go down. People ask, why do you want this kingdom to end? Because you got things like that going on. You got abortions going on, this, that, and the other, and people look at you funny when you curse out abortions, man. Right. So as always, Lords, you were edified, and of that I must say shalom.